With the not so recent conclusion of East vs West 24, we've seen a slew of, let's just say, interesting takes. From the good, to the bad, to the horrendous. And today, I'll be going over some of the loudest discussion points that I've come across recently. Starting with the elephant in the room, let's go over some of the biggest accusations towards Hermes Gasparini, who has recently been put on fraud watch after suffering a crushing defeat against Artem Morozov. One of the most common things I've heard is that he faked an injury in order to save face after losing against Morozov. And quite frankly, I can see how people arrived at that conclusion. After all, we saw Hermes grimacing in pain during rounds 1 and 2, yet he appeared to be fine in the one round that he won in round 3. Then, just hours after he lost, he uploaded a video talking about his elbow injury. Now, looking at it from the outside, it does look bad to upload a video about an injury right after losing, since it looks like Hermes was trying to make an excuse. However, I still think that this is an absurd take. Yes, it does look bad, but Hermes has never been one to make injury excuses even when he loses. He didn't do it when he lost against Levan, didn't do it when he lost against Devin, against Kurdecha, or against Levan again. So there's no reason to believe that he was faking an injury. In fact, we can clearly see Hermes talking to Devin mid-match about his elbow injury, which would make no sense if he was actually 100% okay. Even Hermes himself clearly acknowledges that Morozov beat him fair and square and has openly congratulated his opponent multiple times, which is definitely not sore loser behavior. But with that out of the way, let's explore another hot take on Hermes. This person says that Hermes is actually overhyped right now and that he's been riding off the success of stopping an out-of-shape Levan all the way back in 2023. So, as crazy as this sounds, does this take actually have some truth to it? Let's take a look at Hermes' last couple of matches over the past 3 years. He lost against Morozov, lost against Levan, won against Michael Todd, lost against Alijan, won against Vitaly, lost against Devin, won against Jerry, and lost against Levan. So over the past 3 years, Hermes' track record hasn't actually been that great. He's totaled 5 losses with just 3 wins. Compare that to say someone like Devin or Vitaly, his record doesn't look that great. Vitaly has 10 wins with just 2 losses in that same time frame, while Devin has 15 wins with just 3 losses. Looking at Hermes from this perspective, it's pretty easy to say that he's a bit overrated at the moment. However, only looking at things from this angle ignores a lot of context. While Devin and Vitaly do have many impressive wins, we also have to look at the average strength level of Hermes' opponents. Unlike Vitaly and Devin, he's pretty much exclusively faced arm wrestlers that are in the top 10 rather than out. In fact, if we look at the average strength level of Hermes' opponents, it's actually higher than both Vitaly and Devin's. He faced Morozov while injured, Levan twice, and matched up against both Vitaly and Devin, while also challenging the literal world number 2 on the left arm when it wasn't his primary arm. So yes, while a loss is a loss, I would by no means consider Hermes to be overrated. Him stopping Levan in the middle of his dominance is a very legitimate achievement, even if it wasn't the strongest Levan ever. Keep in mind, at this point, we had just seen Levan run through other monsters like Devin, Vitaly, and Dave. Hermes being able to stop him, even till today, remains to be the most impressive stop that anyone has ever gotten against Levan in his prime so far. So, is Hermes riding off his success against Levan from back then? Well, in my opinion, the answer is no. While I can definitely see why some people would think this way, Hermes is legit an extremely powerful and technical puller that has earned his spot in the top 5, and we shouldn't pretend that his past achievements don't exist just because he lost one match. Now, moving on, we have another common sentiment that I've seen regarding Michael's match with Oleg Petrenko. Win but never pin, Oleg's the real champion, Oleg had more pins than Michael Todd. This isn't arm wrestling. Now, I can sort of understand why some people may feel this way. I'm aware that people don't particularly like Michael Todd due to his way of pulling in a King's move, but to say that he only won on fouls and that doesn't count is ridiculous. I get that nobody wants to see a match get decided by fouls, but that isn't up for us to decide. Oleg himself committed some pretty clear fouls throughout the match, and they were called appropriately. There may have been one or two questionable moments, but there's no doubt that he definitely fouled out for a lot of rounds. And what sticks with me about this is the hypocrisy. Not too long ago, we had a very similar match that was also decided by fouls. It was Dave Shafee versus Ivan Matyashenko. In this match, Ivan pretty much won every single round through fouls, which was very similar to how Michael won against Petrenko. Yet the community's reaction seems to be completely different. No trash talk, only pure arm wrestling. Most calm and respected match. Ivan might just be one of the most understated arm wrestlers of all time. In both matches, we saw some pretty similar scenarios. Both Dave and Petrenko realized that they couldn't win in their concurrent positions and purposely elbow fouled to save stamina. Yet despite that, the community's reaction seems to be completely different. But why? Here's where I think the distinction is made. A lot of people view arm wrestling as a very straightforward and one-sided sport. While this isn't necessarily wrong, a lot of people also have to realize that arm wrestling also has many technical caveats. To say that the King's move isn't arm wrestling is like saying that shooting three-pointers isn't basketball. Both are aspects of the game that have existed for decades, and both can be utilized at a high level if you know how. Michael Todd is essentially a skill check for many arm wrestlers. If you can flop press him, then you can win. But if you can't, then you'll probably lose. In both Dave and Oleg's match, we saw two sides of the same coin in the same situation. Dave fought in the hook and gassed out, which led to him losing on fouls. Oleg tried to flop press Michael and gassed out, which led to him losing on fouls. If anything, at least Michael got a real pin, while Matyashenko won 4-1 without ever getting a real pin in the entire match. But the point is, both Michael and Matyashenko's wins were both legit. Just because Dave and Oleg fouled out for many rounds doesn't mean that Michael or Matyashenko won in dirty ways or didn't have legitimate wins. Overall, I think that the Michael hate has simply gone so out of hand that people are just starting to discard their common sense in order to continue to run their agendas. This take is abysmal. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and while you're at it, share what your hottest takes are. And as always, stay strong.